Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to one of my longer videos. This one's going to be kind of lengthy, and what I'm going to be doing is giving one long update of my Mac tutorials. Now, my other tutorials, I just kind of decided to wing it. They weren't very structured, but I have some notes pulled up on the PC over there. Yes, I do use the PC for certain things, and I'm going to try and touch on all the major stuff, including, why you should get a Mac, who it's for, who it isn't for, the learning curve compared to Windows, similarities to iOS. I'm going to touch on some interface elements, talk about word processing, messaging, browsing the internet, and iTunes compared to Windows. Now, the reason I'm not covering more is because once you learn some of this stuff, once you learn the interface elements I'm about to show you, you can pretty much do anything on the Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this thing. So I'm actually going to start by asking myself a question and answering it for you guys. Why am I visiting these tutorials? I have so many Mac tutorials up on my channel already. Well, that's because I decided that they weren't structured enough. People asked me to redo them. They weren't clear. And so I really want to try and convey this information in a way that everybody can understand. So I am going to try and touch on certain things that will make the entire operating system make sense to people who just want a refresher or people who have never picked up a Mac in their life. Alright, so who is the Mac for? The Mac is for people who want something different, someone who has a very creative mind and likes creating unique content. The Mac is designed for people who love to create things. Now, if you have a PC and you're comfortable with the PC and you don't really want to change, don't feel pressured to get a Mac. I may go around telling people, oh, Macs are so awesome, Macs are this, Macs are that. And that's because that's what works for me. But if it doesn't work for you, don't let anyone pressure you into getting one. It's a pricey buy-in. I will say you do get what you pay for. Apple tries to always use the latest technology in their stuff. Now, I've had this MacBook since 2012 and it still runs like it's brand new. It's taken a beating, it has some cosmetic damage on it, blah blah blah, but it still runs great. Now, who the Mac isn't for? If you don't feel like learning a completely new operating system, if you don't feel like being frustrated at first, or if you're just super comfortable with Windows and don't really want to change, I would suggest sticking with Windows. But if you have multiple Apple products and you want a central hub for all your stuff and you want all of your electronic devices to talk to one another and you like how voiceover runs on iOS and all that stuff, then you'll like the Mac. So that's who it is for and who it isn't for. Now, there is a learning curve compared to Windows, and I'm going to try and cover some of the key differences. Now, the first is the keyboard. So there are certain things about the keyboard that are different. Not too many things, but I'm going to start with the main differences, and that's key names. Now, most key names are the same, all the letters, all the F keys, all that stuff. The function keys are different though. Now, this will be different if you have a desktop. But for most people who have Mac laptops, you have 4 function keys on the bottom left of your keyboard, and those are the ones that are most popularly used. So those are the ones I'm going to cover. You have some of the same function keys on the right side, but like I said, I'm just going to cover the keys on the left. Now, on the Windows PC, and I do have one over here, starting at the bottom right, you have Control, Function, Windows, and Alt. And then to the right of that, you have the spacebar. So once again, starting from the left, going to the right, Control, Function, Windows, Alt, then the spacebar. Now, on the Mac, you have your Function key right here on the bottom left, very bottom left. The Function key is not in the middle of the group of keys like it is on Windows. It's out by itself on the right, and that's used to do things like change the volume and go to Launchpad, change your keyboard backlit brightness, and control music and your computer's volume. So next to that, to the right, is the Control key. So there's a similarity. Both computers have Control keys, but that's where the similarities end. The next key to the right of that is the Option key. Next key to the right of that is the Command key, and then you have the spacebar to the right of that group of four. So it's Function, Control, Option, Command, spacebar, going from left to right. Now, this is really important because there are two keys that you're going to want to remember throughout this entire tutorial, and that is Control and Option, the middle two keys in this group of four keys. And that's because if you decide to use the keyboard, you're going to be using those a lot. Those are what's Those are what's known as the voiceover keys. I'm just going to call them the VO keys for short. So every time you hear me say VO keys, or VO plus whatever other key I say, think Control and Option, the two middle keys in that group of four keys on the bottom to the left of the spacebar. And that's the first thing that's different. The second thing that's different is the interface itself. Now, for Windows users, you're used to Windows Explorer. The file system browser. So you use it to locate all of your files and stuff like that. Now, the Mac has something similar. Let me go ahead and zoom out here so the camera doesn't seem as shaky. The Mac has something similar, and that is called the Finder. And the way to remember that is not only to listen to voiceover say it, but think of it as your way of finding all of the files and folders on your computer, hence the Finder. Now, the Finder can be customized, but by default, it's pretty similar. Now, a couple of other differences. You have the difference in the menu bar. Now, the menu bar on Windows is different because you have a slightly different menu bar for each application. You actually have a physically different menu bar for each application. So if I were to have all of my applications maximized, there would probably be 6 or 7 different menu bars at the top of the screen. Now, for the Mac, you have one menu bar. And that menu bar is there no matter what application you're in. The applications within it, the options within it just change based on what application you're using. So, for example, if I'm in iTunes, then it'll have options for file playback in the iTunes store and all that stuff. Versus if I switch to Safari and go up to that exact same menu bar, it'll have stuff for bookmarking and history and stuff like that. So there's another key difference. Everything else is pretty easy to identify once you dive in. One more thing I want to mention before I move on to the next part is the desktop. The desktop on Windows usually houses a lot more things than the desktop on the Mac. Now, my desktop only has one icon on it, and that houses the icon for my hard drive. Now, if I hook a device up to it, for example my phone, I have it set so that it shows up on the desktop, or if I hook up an external drive. But I do not have programs on my desktop. I do not have file folders on my desktop. So the next thing I'm going to cover is the similarities to iOS. Yeah, I know I'm doing a lot of talking, not a lot of showing, not a lot of demonstrating, but these are things that are important to know if you're thinking about getting a Macintosh or if you already have one and you want some background as to why the interface elements work the way they do. So the Mac came out first, and the interface was nothing like it was now. But then iOS came out, and it became so popular that they decided the Mac, in order to promote continuity between devices, needed some of the interface elements of iOS. And so there are certain things that it shares. The first thing is the dock. Now, the dock is, for those who don't use iOS, a strip at the bottom of the screen that houses a number of applications. Now, the dock on iOS, on the iPhone can only hold 4, but on the iPad can hold up to 6. Now, the dock on the Mac can hold quite a few. I'm not sure what the limit is, but the purposes are the same but different at the same time. iOS, you use it so that no matter what home screen you're on, the app you want to access is there. Now, on the Mac, not only does it serve that purpose, but it also serves the purpose of showing you what apps are open. It's an easy way to get to your trash. And weirdly enough, it shows your download status when you're downloading something from the App Store. Now, the difference between that is, on iOS, the dock goes away when you go into an application. On the Mac, you can access it anywhere. Now, another similarity is something called Launchpad. Now, Launchpad takes a book directly from iOS. Now, Launchpad takes a page directly from the book of iOS. Now, if you're familiar with iOS, you'll know that the home screen is just a grid of applications. Well, if you press Function F4,
interact with grid, Safari,
it'll take you into what's called the Launchpad. And here you kind of have a mini home screen. Now I'm going to zoom out and show them both side by side. There's the iPad's home screen, grid of applications with a dock at the bottom. There's the Mac, grid of applications with a dock at the bottom. You get the point. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that.
Finder, desktop.
Now, another similarity is they both use voiceover. Now, recently, iOS 8 was just given the ever-popular Alex voice. But Alex has been on the Mac for some time, and that's why everyone was so excited about getting it, because the Mac has had it for a long time, but not everyone can afford a Mac. Not everyone wants to use a Mac, but everyone loves iOS that uses it, pretty much, from what I've seen. I don't know many people who hate iOS. And Alex has been welcomed very warmly by the iOS community. So, there's another thing they share now. Now, one thing that they unfortunately share is the fact that the ecosystem is not as open between the two. Now, this is getting better with the release of iOS 8, and it's gotten way better in the past couple of years with the Mac. Now, the last thing I want to cover is continuity, or the ability for your devices to be able to talk to one another. Now, it's always been the case where iOS devices talk to each other really well. Apple has improved on this recently with the introduction of iOS 8. For example, if I were to be writing an email on my phone and I walk into my house and pick up my iPad, I can continue the email right where I left off, down to the character. Now, you can do this on the Mac. If I'm in the living room working on something on my iPad, and I want to go and have a little more control, sit down on my desk and work on it on the Mac. Now I can do that. So, those are just some of the similarities between the Mac and iOS. Alright guys, enough with the talk, let's get into the interface. So, the reason I'm going to start with what I'm about to start with is because I just talked about the similarities to iOS, and here is another similarity, is the fact that you can use multi-touch gestures. Now, with iOS, it's completely touchscreen based. You touch what you want,
Native applications folder, 8 apps, 20 new items.
And it works. Now, it's kind of similar, though you have a lot more real estate on the Mac screen. So just touching something isn't going to work, but you can use the same swipe and tap and rotor and all those gestures on the Mac's trackpad. Now, there's a way to enable it by going into voiceover settings and doing all that, but also another way to do it is to hold down your VO keys. Now, just to review, the VO keys are Control and Option, the two middle keys of the row of 4 keys down at the bottom left of your keyboard to the left of the spacebar. Now, hold Control Option down and rotor to the right. Now, that's putting your 2 fingers on the trackpad and kind of rotating them clockwise.
Characters.
Now, if you do it by itself, that's what you should hear. You should hear that sound. And I'm going to go ahead and, because I can't do this with one hand, put my phone down. But I'm going to put it close to the Mac speaker so you can hear what it sounds like when I turn the trackpad commander on and off. Now, it's already on, so I have to turn it off by rotating my fingers in the counterclockwise position, or doing the rotor gesture. I'm just going to refer to them as rotor left and rotor right as that twisting gesture. But here we go. Here's turning it off by doing a VO rotor to the left.
Trackpad commander off.
And I'm going to do a VO rotor to the right. Come on.
Trackpad commander on.
There we go. Sorry I couldn't show that. But anyway, now we have the trackpad. So I'm going to go over some of the basic trackpad commanders by starting with the ones that are similar to iOS. Now, I've already showed one, the rotor. You have the rotor, it does the same thing.
Words. Words. Characters. Navigation.
It does have a function that's not familiar to iOS users, though, and that's navigation. Now, navigation is used when you're going through menus and all that stuff. You want to try and always have navigation on by default. Now, most of the time, this will be the case unless you change it. So, you can use swipe to the left or swipe to the right to navigate. You can use a 2-finger swipe down to read all. You can use a 3-finger triple tap to turn on screen curtain. Yes, the Mac does have screen curtain.
Screen curtain on. Screen curtain off.
You can use a 3-finger double tap to mute your speech. So if you're listening to music or something.
Voiceover muted.
And do it again to unmute your speech.
Voiceover unmuted.
So all that stuff works. You can also create your own trackpad gestures. Now, that goes beyond the scope of this video. This is only basics, but I just wanted to show you that getting started with the Mac is not as hard as some people make it out to be, especially if you're using iOS. Alright, so I'm moving from the trackpad to the keyboard for now. And I'm just going to cover some of the basic keyboard commands that you need to know. So, The first thing I'm going to cover is something called quick navigation, or quick nav for
Plus 98
short.
star. Volume.
Now, quick nav is essentially like using the trackpad almost, but you're using the arrow keys. Now, if you recall in the last part of the video, I actually showed you some of the keyboard commanders. So here I'm zoomed in on my keyboard arrow key cluster here in the bottom right. So to enable quick nav, press the left and the right arrow at the same time. Now quick nav is already on, so this will be turning it off, but
Quick nav off.
quick nav is off. I'm going to press the left and the right arrows at the same time again,
Quick nav on.
and quick nav is now on. Now, quick nav it's important to know how to turn quick nav on and off because of what I'm going to show you later. But for now, quick nav can be used to pretty much do all of the basic trackpad gestures. So swiping, a right one finger swipe is the right arrow. A left one finger swipe is the left arrow. Now, to double tap, you press the up and down arrow at the same time. And if I do that,
Plus 98 star. Volume. Plus 98 star. Window. Image browser. Group.
here I am in my hard drive.
Interact with image browser. Group.
No,
Applications. Folder.
I just interacted, which is something that I'm going to cover later. But as you can see, as I'm pressing the right arrow,
Library. Folder. System. Folder. Users. Folder.
and I'm going to press the left arrow to go back.
System. Folder. Library. Folder. Applications. Folder.
Now, watch, when I swipe to the right, it'll do the same thing.
Library. Folder. System. Folder. Users. Folder.
And when I swipe to the left,
Bright. System. Folder. Library. Folder. Applications. Folder.
now, two things I want to show you before I move on. So, the first thing is
Words.
rotoring.
Navigation.
If you cannot get the rotor gesture on the iPad, which on the trackpad, which some people can't, you can use quick nav to rotor clockwise. It's the up arrow and the right arrow at the same time.
Characters. Words. Navigation.
And to rotor counterclockwise, it's the left and the up arrow at the same time.
Words. Characters. Navigation.
Now, as you can see, it doesn't play the sound because I'm not using the trackpad gesture, but if I use the trackpad gesture, so here I go clockwise.
Characters. Words. Navigation.
And counterclockwise,
Words. Characters. Navigation.
it does the exact same thing, it just plays a sound prompting you that you are in fact using the trackpad. So those are some basic trackpad gestures. I'll show you more as the tutorial goes on, and I will also show you the keyboard equivalent. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention. There are some keyboard commanders that you can use. For example, to activate an item, the equivalent of a double tap with one finger, or the equivalent of the up and down arrows at the same time with quick nav, is VO space. So to review one last time, your VO keys are To review one last time, your VO keys are Control, Option, plus whatever key you want to use. In this situation, your spacebar. Now, there's a giant list of voiceover commands, and you can get this by pressing your VO keys plus H. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of OS X, and that is the Finder. Now, the Finder is something you use to locate all of your files and folders on your Mac. And the reason I'm starting with the Finder is because I want to go over an interface element that's pretty much universal through 90% of the apps that you will use on the Mac. Now, to make things a bit more organized as far as accessibility goes, the interface is broken up into a few different elements. Now, I already have my Finder window open.
Vertical splitter. Sidebar. Toolbar. +9 8-star. +9 8-star. Full screen button. Close button.
So here I am at the very top. Now, every window has 3 buttons. The close button,
Minimize button.
the minimize button,
Full screen button.
and the full screen
This
button.
button also has an action to zoom the window.
Now I'm going to go ahead and double tap on that.
Press full screen button. Space with Finder containing window +98 asterisk. Full screen space.
And it is now full screened. So there are the 3 buttons, and those are located at the top of the window. Those are the first few elements that you want to know about.
+9 8-star.
There's the title.
+9 image browser. Vertical image.
Hold on, let me get back up to the top.
Dimmed minimum. Dimmed zoom button. Image. +9 8-star. Toolbar.
You have the toolbar. Now, I'm going to show you how to enter all of these elements in a little while. I'm just going to go ahead and continue.
Sidebar table.
You have the sidebar,
Vertical splitter.
the vertical splitter, which kind of resizes the different windows,
Image browser group. +9 8-star.
and the image browser, which is where you will actually browse your files and folders.
Image browser group. +9 8-star.
Now, the reason it's broken up like this is because if you have an application, and I have seen them, that have, 11 or 12 different interface elements in a window, you don't want to have to go all the way down through one interface element just to get to another. So, it's awesome that they do that because you can skip past interface elements that you don't want to use and interact directly with the window that you want. So, for example, if I just want to change my directory, I can do that one of 2 ways. I can go into the image browser, which is where all the icons are, and use my back and forward buttons and all that stuff, or I could use my sidebar. Now, the sidebar is really awesome because you can not only add to it, but by default, it has all of the most popular directories on your Mac. And to use the sidebar, to actually manipulate it and ignore everything else, you do what's called interacting with it.
Image. Dimmed zoom button. +9 8-star. Toolbar. Sidebar table.
So here we are at the sidebar, and when you interact with the sidebar, you will actually be able to drill down into it and manipulate it. So you can interact 3 different ways. The first, the trackpad gesture. You do a 2-finger swipe to the right.
Interact with sidebar table. Row 1.
And to get out of it, or to stop interacting, you do a 2-finger swipe to the left.
Stop interacting with sidebar table.
Now, the second way is to use QuickNav. Now, to interact,
Image browser group. Verticals. Sidebar table.
you press the down and right arrow at the same time to interact.
Interact with sidebar table. Row 1.
And to stop interacting, you use the down and left arrow.
Stop interacting with sidebar table.
Now, if you're not using QuickNav, or if you just rather use a keyboard command, if you're using keyboard commands for everything, you can use VO Shift right arrow to interact, or VO Shift left arrow to interact. Now, I'm going to be using the trackpad for most things, or QuickNav. I don't use a lot of keyboard commands because one of the drawbacks of the Mac is some of the keyboard commands can be, 4 keys, as demonstrated by the VO Shift whatever command for interacting. So,
Vertical. Sidebar table.
I'm going to go ahead and interact with the sidebar.
Interact with sidebar table. Row 1.
So, here we are in the sidebar. Now you can go up and down two different ways. You can either swipe down or up with one finger on the trackpad, or use the up arrows. You can either go down, up, or left, right arrow. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to be using the down arrow.
Dropbox, level 2.
So there's the Dropbox directory.
All my files.
All my files.
iCloud Drive.
iCloud Drive.
AirDrop.
AirDrop.
Applications.
There's my applications folder. And I'm going to stop there. So say I want to go into my applications. Well, how do I do this? I'm stuck in the toolbar. Well, I already told you. All you have to do is stop interacting.
Stop interacting with sidebar, table, row 6 of 23. Applications, selected.
And use your arrow keys or your swipe gesture to move over to it.
Vertical splitter. Image browser, group.
Now here's the image browser. Now all you have to do is interact with the image browser.
Interact with image browser, group. 43 items, App Store.app, application.
And here are all of the applications. As you can see, I have 43 applications installed on this computer. And you can use the arrow keys or you can use the trackpad to move between them.
Automator.app, application. Calculator.app, application. Bright, crisp.
So, I'm going to go ahead and move down to the next application that we are using.
Calendar.app, application. Chess.app, application. Contacts.app, Dashboard.app, Dictionary.app, application. Disk Cleaner, Dropbox, DVD Clip, FaceTime. Fontbook. Game Center, iBooks. Image Capture, iMud2, iText, iTunes. Launchpad, Mail. Maps. Messages, Mission Control, Notes. Pages. Photo, Pages.app, application.
There we are, Pages.
Crisp.
So, in the next part, we're going to be covering another important interface element, which is how to navigate Pages and do word processing on the Mac, which is really important for you guys in school and whatnot. So, hope you guys enjoy. So, word processing. I am actually going to show you a new way of opening applications. Now, you can navigate to the Finder, go to your applications folder, all that stuff. But there is something also that the Mac and iOS have in common, and that is Spotlight. Now, Spotlight is something that can be used to not only search your Mac and all of its attached devices, but you can also search the internet, you can search the App Store, you can search iTunes, all within that window. So to activate Spotlight, you hold down Command and hit the spacebar.
Spotlight, Spotlight, system dial, unselected.
So I'm going to go ahead and start
Spotlight
typing Pages, P.
Pages, Pages, applications icon image.
Oh, wow.
Selected.
I only had to type one word. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit Enter.
Pages, applications Pages, choose a template, window, templates, scroll area has keyboard focus.
Now, here we are in Pages. Now, there are a whole lot of templates that you can choose from, and, there's Basic. So in the Basic, you have stuff like the blank.
Cancel button. Templates, scroll area.
Oh, yes, let me interact with this.
Interact with templates, scroll area. 12 items, heading, basic.
So here you are at the basic heading, and it's actually separated by headings, so that's awesome. I'm going to go down through them. Let me actually rotor to headings.
Characters, words, navigation, characters, blank button, heading, reports.
So you have the reports heading.
Essay button, research paper heading, letters.
Letters.
Class, photo letter, heading, resumes.
Resumes.
Class, bold, heading, envelopes.
Envelopes, so you can actually create envelopes and print them if you have an envelope-enabled printer.
Classic and bold type envelope, heading, business cards.
You can actually create business cards in Pages.
Classic bold type business, heading, flyers and posters.
You can create flyers and posters here.
For rent, lost, event poster, school poster, heading, cards.
You can create cards.
Photo card vertical button. Event post, heading, miscellaneous.
And miscellaneous. I wonder what's in miscellaneous. I've actually never looked here.
Invoice button.
You can create invoices.
Elegant brochure button. Museum brochure button. Heading, newsletter.
Oh, you can create newsletters too?
Classic newsletter button.
So let me go all the way to the top.
Heading, basic. Blank button.
And I'm just going to go ahead and choose blank.
Press blank button.
And
Format text quickly by voiceover jumping to the formatter.
here we are in Pages. So this is the premier voiceover accessible, some people say it's not, but voiceover accessible word processor for the Mac. Now, you do have text edit, but it's not as powerful as Pages is. So,
Header group.
So, as you can
To
hear,
hide or show headers and footers, navigate away from them and then use the custom actions command.
here's the header group.
Body, edit text. Format text quickly by voiceover jumping to the formatter.
There's where you type all your stuff.
Footer group. To hide or show headers and footers, navigate away from them and then use the custom actions command. Footer group.
So, you have 3 groups. I'm going to go ahead and interact with headers.
Header group. Left header, edit text. Center header, edit text. Right header, edit text. To hide or show headers and right header.
Stop
edit
interacting.
Body, edit text. Footer group. Left footer, edit text. Center footer, edit text. Right footer, edit text. Right footer.
All
Stop
right.
interacting with footer group.
Now, believe it or not,
Stop interacting with document layout area.
that was actually elements or groups within an element.
Close button. Close button.
So, here is that group of buttons that I mentioned earlier. So,
Minimize button. Full screen button.
see those 3? Told you they were universal. So, I'm going to go ahead and maximize this just for the sake of doing it.
Press full screen button. Space with pages contain. Left footer, edit text. Stop. Header group. Stop interacting with document. Dimmed, dimmed, close. Dimmed, zoom, untitled.
So, you have the title of the document, which is currently untitled.
Document actions, dimmed, menu button. Toolbar.
So, here is the toolbar. Let's see what's in the toolbar.
Interact with toolbar. 13 items, view, menu button.
So, there's the view menu,
125%, zoom, menu button. Insert, menu button.
the insert menu,
Table button. Chart button. Text button. Shape button. Media button. Comment. Dimmed button. Share menu button.
the share button. So, that's another thing that I like about iOS and OS X is that you can easily share from within applications. So, a lot of the Apple applications, for example, camera and stuff, have that share button. Well, OS X has it in a lot of its stuff as well. So if I wanted to send this via iMessage, email it, whatever, I can do it from within the document, or I can locate the document in the Finder and go ahead and share it from there.
Tips button. Show or hide coaching tips. Format. Checked. Checkbox. Document. Unchecked. Checkbox. Document. Unchecked. Checkbox.
So, there's the toolbar.
Stop interacting with toolbar. Document. Layout area.
There's the document layout area. We've already been in there.
Resize items within a document. Untitled. Formatter group.
There's the formatter, so let's go in there.
Interact with formatter group. 3 items. Image. Nothing selected. Select an object or text to format. Nothing. Image.
So, the formatter
Crisp.
is actually blank unless you select something. So I'll go ahead and show that later.
Stop interacting with formatter group. Format. Untitled. Document layout area.
But let's go ahead and go in here.
Interact with page 1. 3 item. Body. Edit text.
And I'm going to go ahead and interact with
Format
this.
text. Interact with edit text.
And the reason I interact with that is because if I accidentally swipe or something, you can't move out of it. So you can type without interacting if you just want to type something real quick, but it's good practice to interact with your document. So I have a pretty good document written here. It's nothing spectacular, but I'm going to show you a good way of navigating through it. So if you go ahead and turn Quick Nav off, just to review, that's the left arrow and the right arrow at the same time.
Quick nav off.
You can navigate using your arrow keys, up and down for line, left and right for character. You can also hold down your Control, Option, or Command key to navigate by words or sentence, respectively. It's best to go ahead and play around with that to see what you can figure out, but it's pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and navigate by line.
This is an example of typing with Pages on the Mac. Word processing can be done on the Mac completely accessibly if you have the patience and willingness to learn a new operating system. VoiceOver can also be learned pretty quickly if you take the time to research and practice. My YouTube channel can be used to access helpful tutorials and information on VoiceOver as well as many applications that can be used with it. Online resources can also give you hundreds of guides on tips and tricks to make learning VoiceOver and the Mac in general faster and hassle-free.
So, that's basic word processing. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about. So, copying and pasting works exactly the same. You use your arrow keys and your shift key to select things. You can use the cut, copy, paste commands, which are pretty much the same. It's Command C for cut. Command X for cut, Command C for copy, Command V for paste. You can use Command Z for undo. Now, spell check exists. Let me go ahead and show you where it is. So you go to your menu bar.
Free.
As soon as I turn my trackpad commander back on.
Trackpad commander on.
You go to your menu bar.
Menu bar, Apple. Pages. File. Edit.
Go down to Edit. So swipe down to get into this menu or down arrow.
Edit menu. Undo Command Z. Redo. Dimmed Command Shift Z. Cut. Dimmed Command X. Copy. Dimmed Command C. Paste. Dimmed Command V. Pasted match style. Dimmed Command Shift Option V. Paste formula results. Dimmed. Delete. Dimmed. Clear all. Dimmed. Duplicate selection. Dimmed. Select all. Command A. Deselect all. Command Shift A. Track changes. Accept change. Dimmed Command Option A. Reject change. Dimmed Command Option R. Remove highlights and comments. Dimmed. Find. Submenu. Spelling and grammar. Submenu.
Alright, spelling and grammar. So I'm going to go ahead and swipe to the right to get into that menu.
Spelling and grammar. Submenu. Show spelling and grammar. Command colon. Check document now. Command semicolon. Check mark. Check spelling while typing. Check grammar with spelling. Check document now. Command semicolon.
So, Command semicolon will check your document. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap on that.
Check document now. Format text quickly by VoiceOver jumping to the formatter.
Now, that actually does not work accessibly. Let me show you a different way.
Menu bar.
Go to the same menu.
File. Edit. Delete. Track changes. Accept. Remove. Find. Spelling and grammar.
Now choose that first option.
Show spelling and grammar. Command colon. Show spelling and grammar. Spelling and grammar. Window. Edit text. Blank. Edit. Change. Edit text. Spelling and grammar. Zoom button. Change. Text. Find next button. Suggested corrections. Empty table. Ignore. Dimmed button. Learn. Dimmed button. Define. Dimmed button. Guess. Dimmed button. Automatic by language. Pop-up. Check grammar. Uncheck. Checkbox. Check. Check grammar. Learn. Ignore. Dimmed button.
Now,
Untitled.
as you can see, the spell check window is completely accessible. But because I have autocorrect on, it's pretty easy to not make many mistakes here. Now, let me give you an example. Well, not really an example, but here's how autocorrect works with word processing. So, if you're typing a word and you hear that VoiceOver is speaking a correction, stop typing immediately after you hit your spacebar. Now, this only works if QuickNav is not on. So, press your left arrow, and it'll bring you into the autocorrect menu. To scroll through changes, press your down arrow. That's all it is. So, this is just a quick example of word processing on the Mac. Feel free to play with the menus, play with interacting with the interface elements, and see what you can find. Alright, you guys, so I hope you enjoyed that little tidbit on word processing. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is iMessage. Now, iMessage is something that all Apple devices running iOS or OS X, and hopefully soon watchOS or whatever they're going to call it, is going to have. So, iMessage is something that you can use to message between Apple devices. So if your friends have Apple devices, you can message them from your Mac, or you can message them from your iPad, or your iPod, or, of course, your iPhone. And here, pretty soon, you're actually going to be able to take text messages on your other devices as well, which I cannot wait for. But I'm going to go ahead and open iMessage.
Quick look window. Preview it.
Oops,
Desktop.
wrong thing.
Plus quick look window.
Stop it.
Desktop. Spotlight. Spotlight. System dialog. I am. Messages. Applications icon image. Finder. Desk. Messages. 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 3 unread. Window. iMessage. Edit text as key.
Here we are in the iMessage window. I'm going to go ahead and go to the very top of the interface.
Vertical splitter. Close button.
So, here you have those 3 buttons again. So the close button,
Minimize button.
minimize,
Full screen button.
and full screen. I'm going to go ahead and
This
not
button
full
also
screen
has an
it.
action to zoom the window.
But let's go ahead and go through the entire interface.
Vertical splitter. Chelsea menu button. Megan menu button. 2.
So that's who is actually in the message conversation. Of course, you see I have 2 people in there. They're 2 of my Apple buddies. We talk about Apple stuff in this message group all the time. This morning we are talking about replying from within other applications on iOS and a couple of iMessage bugs.
Search. Search text field.
You can search
Search.
people and contents of your messages in here.
Progress indicator. Compose button.
You can use that to start a new
Compose
message.
2. Details button.
You can use that to show the details of the conversation.
Conversations table. Chelsea and Megan. Last message. I can't wait. 10:10 a.m. Row 1 selected.
Now, if you interact with that, you can actually go through your other messages and, with the different people that you talk to. But I'm going to go ahead and go past that because I want to stay in this conversation.
HTML content.
Now, here is the HTML content. This is where you interact with to read the messages.
Offline image. Gmail.com and Google. iMessage. Edit text.
And here is where you type your message.
Emoji picker button.
You can pick emoticons there.
Offline. Status selection pop-up
Let me
button.
go ahead and put myself online.
Checkmark offline. Available. Press. Connecting. Status selection pop application alert system dialog. Talk.google.com password. Messages can't log in to access that media at gmail.com because your login ID or password is incorrect. Password.
Oh well, don't really care.
Messages can't log in to password. Secure edit. Remember this password. Cancel button.
Don't worry about that.
Talk.google.com password. Messages can't log in to access that media at Talk.
Go away!
Window.
Anyway.
Buddy lip. Add buddy or group button. Text chat. Audio chat. Video screen share. Screen sharing. Video chat. Dimmed unchat.
I should
box.
not have done that. What in the world
Start
is
a
this?
video
I've
chat.
never done
Messages.
this.
3 unread.
There we go.
Window. Available. Table. iMessage. Edit text. Emoji picker button. Send voice message button.
And here is the send voice message button. So, let me go ahead and type stuff.
iMessage. Table. iMessage. Edit text.
I am really excited about the new update period. Hopefully they fix more things, period.
I am really excited about the new update. Hopefully they fix my things. Hopefully they fix my things.
Alright, that's sent. So let me go to the HTML content and read stuff.
Table. Available. Google. Available. HTML content. Heading level 2. 9/ heading.
Go to the
messages.
bottom of that.
I am really excited about the new update. Hopefully they fix my things. Christopher O'Malley image.
So that's from me.
I can't wait. Clickable. Chelsea Cook image.
That's from Chelsea.
Heading level 2. Chelsea Cook. A quick fix is to try to respring. If that does not work, restarting the phone usually fixes it. It's annoying, but the new version of iOS is coming out soon. Clickable. Christopher O'Malley image.
That's from me.
I keep getting a send failures more frequently than not. It was for a while where I would turn iMessage off, but not all of the record audio button is gone. Clickable. Chelsea Cook
That's
image.
Chelsea.
Heading level 2. Dictation fail. Also, what kind of iMessage bugs are you having? Clickable. Christopher O'Mealy image. Dictation is in fact tomorrow reliable. The words also show up as you type. I'm not quite sure if you noticed that. Clickable. Unless you want to go through the process of changing your typing mode every time you want to use it, I always just use dictation. Clickable.
Anyway,
Stop interacting with
that's iMessage. A quick little example of how that works. So pretty much anything you can do on iOS, you can do in iMessage here. So the next thing we're going to cover is Safari, or internet browsing. Now, internet browsing is pretty easy, and I'm going to show you how now.
Messages, applications, messages is locked. Safari, top sites, window, sidebar, group.
So here we are on the top sites, or the sites I visit most. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-N for a new tab.
New window, top sites, window, sidebar, group.
And
Search
type
enter website
Control-L.
name. Address in search, edit text, has alternate items. Check document now.
Command-L.
Check document now.
Wrong button.
Open location.
Control-L allows you to open a location or type in a URL,
YouTube. Google.
Google, and see.
HTTPS / search combo box. Search 2 items.
It auto-filled, so here we are on Google. So,
Stop interacting with Google HTML.
I'm going to go ahead and show you the interface now that we are here on a website.
Google, selected, tab, 1 of 1. Full screen button, minimize, close button.
And again, that 3 group of buttons. See how stuff is shared throughout the applications?
Minimize button, full screen button. Google, selected, tab, 1 of 1.
Here you can find your tabs.
Toolbar.
There's your toolbar. Let's see what's in the toolbar.
Interact with toolbar. 6 items, /forward, group.
There's the back and forward buttons group, but you can actually use Command left bracket and Command right bracket to go back and forward, respectively.
Sidebar button.
That shows and hides the sidebar.
HTTPS / www.google.com.
There's the HTML window. There's the web address window.
Share button.
The share button, you can go ahead and share whatever web page you are on.
Show all tabs button.
Show all tabs.
Downloads button.
And your downloads button, where you
button.
go to view all of your recent downloads. So I'm going to get out of the toolbar now.
Stop interacting with toolbar. New tab button.
There's the new tab button.
New tab button. Google HTML content.
And
Google
here is the HTML content. That's all of the interface elements in Safari. So you go ahead and interact with that.
Link plus Christopher. Link plus Christopher.
And like on
Collapsed
Safari,
menu pop-up link.
on iOS, you can either swipe to the right or left to move through content, or you can use the rotor. So I'm going to go ahead and use the arrow keys.
Form controls.
And you can navigate by these categories.
Web spots. Landmarks. Characters. Words. Links. Form controls. Web spots.
And if there were more interface elements on the page, they would show up. For example, headings. There are actually no headings on this page, so it doesn't show up. And you can actually go to your voiceover settings and customize this.
Link. Gmail. Link. Images. Collapsed menu pop-up link. Apps. Collapsed menu pop-up link. 0 unread notifications. Collapsed menu pop-up link. Share. Collapsed menu pop-up link. Account Christopher O'Mealy, chris.omeally@gmail.com. Search 2 items. Search combo box. Google search button. I'm feeling lucky button. End of search. Times. Chrome 4a.png image, a faster way to browse the web. Link. Install Google Chrome.
No.
Google image. Link. Privacy settings. Collapsed button.
But anyway, that is actually how simple Safari is. And most web pages, actually, I found that there are some web pages that are more accessible on the Mac than on the PC. And if you want to learn other stuff about Safari, I've taught you enough about the operating. See, this is why I started the tutorial the way I did, so that instead of me teaching you every single thing, you can go ahead and Mess around with the operating system, use what I've taught you, and learn the rest on your own. Go through the options in the menu bar up top and see what you can find. I can guarantee you that pretty much every single piece of functionality you need in an internet browser is here. Alright guys, so one of the last things I'm going to cover is iTunes. Now iTunes is one of the media players you get. It's the most used in the operating system, and it's a lot less of a headache to use on the Mac. So I'm going to go ahead and open iTunes with Spotlight, of course.
Quick look, window, desktop, +90, Spotlight, Spotlight, system dialog.
Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to use Launchpad.
Interact with grid, Safari, iTunes, Finder, desktop, +98 star, volume, iTunes. Close button, minimize button, full screen button.
Same three buttons.
160 the image. iPhone, dimmed pop-up button.
Sorry about that. Let me
More
get back to the
pop-up
top.
Button. Minimum, full button.
So let's go through the interface.
Previous, dimmed button. Play button. Next, dimmed button.
So there you have the media controls.
100%. Volume slider.
The volume slider. You can interact with that slider and manipulate it with the arrow keys or by swiping.
Store account button.
You can show your store account.
Search library. Search text field.
Search your library.
Downloads window button. Music radio button. 1 of 6. Press music radio button. 1 of 6. Movies pre-unwatched radio button. 2 of 5. TV shows radio button. 3 of 5. More pop-up button. iPhone pop-up button. My music selected radio button. 1 of 5. Playlists radio button. 2 of. Match radio button. 4 of 5.
And I'm going to go ahead and go to iTunes Radio.
Selected radio button. 4 of 5. iTunes Store radio button. iTunes window. My stations grid.
And you interact with this grid.
Interact with My Stations grid. 90s pop hits. Jordan Rudess radio.
And if you double tap on that,
Image. Jordan Rudess radio group.
and it turns into a group. You interact with it.
Interact with Jordan Rudess radio button. Play button. Press play button. You're lost in outer space, and I don't mean to burst your balloon.
But anyway, that's iTunes.
Quit iTunes. Your iPhone, iTunes, window, play button. Stop interacting with Jordan Rudess.
I mean, it's pretty easy.
Chill out.
It really
Stop.
is.
Search, store, 10, next, pause button. Press play button.
Now, the thing with iTunes is it can actually be controlled system-wide. So if you want to rewind, fast forward, play, use your function key, and one of the F keys, I'm going to let you figure that out on your own, but I'll give you an example. It's towards the right on the top row. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you want to be notified of more of my videos. If you have any questions or suggestions of more videos as far as the Mac or iOS or even Windows is concerned, make a comment on here, inbox me on here, or you can email me at accesstechmedia@gmail.com. That's ACCESSTECH, M as in mom, EDIA, @gmail.com. And feel free to follow me on Twitter, and the Twitter handle is accesstechmedia. Now, every time I upload a video to the channel, the link is automatically posted there. So that's a good way to keep in contact, to keep track of what videos I post. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. More videos coming soon. Bye.